Let's talk about War and Peace as I go for a morning walk. I finally finished listening to the audiobook version of War and Peace a couple of weeks ago, and this is possibly one of the books that has taken me the longest to finish that I've actually finished. I started listening to the audiobook back in February, around like the 7th of February, and I listened to it at 2 times speed. I believe I finished it on May 21st, so you can do the math. It's not that it was boring or bad, it just was heavy and historical, and sometimes it just takes a while for me to get into a story that is that detailed, especially with historical language. War and Peace at its core is a historical novel about the Napoleonic Wars and their impact on Russian aristocracy. Unfortunately, I can't actually tell you if I managed to keep the characters and their plot lines straight, but it was interesting to see what I believe is probably an incredibly accurate portrayal of Russian aristocracy in the early 1800s. My biggest complaint, however, was that the female characters were reduced to these caricatures that were kind of disheartening. However, I don't know how accurate that is for the time because obviously I wasn't alive then. Some of the big takeaways I have from reading this book is there's an element of understanding that love changes over time, and unfortunately, youth and love are often fickle. Tolstoy also drove home the fact that Napoleon was a narcissist. Unfortunately, every time he started a discussion on military science, I couldn't actually follow his train of thought. Now, that's probably because I was listening to the audiobook at 2 times speed, so my bad. I did really enjoy his discussion on religion and the importance of morality. It was interesting to see that through the lens of a historical. So there you go. War and Peace is the 7th book I finished in my Gilmore Girls reading challenge, and it's possibly the longest at over 1,300 pages. I don't know if I'm going to be able to pick up my pace as I read these books because most of them are historical or classic literature, and it just honestly takes more time for me to get invested in those stories and finish them.